You are listening to Zen and the Art of Triathlon.
Well, hey there, all you triathlon freaks and geeks, and welcome to another great episode of Zen and the Art of Triathlon, the podcast where we go long on endurance and learn a little bit of Zen along the way. All right, we are leaving the pool in the ZenTri mobile studios, and had some cool stuff happen last couple days. It is November 26th. Start date, November 26th. Man, my swim this morning kind of sucked. I felt flat. And I do not know what's up with that. Why that happens some days. That'd be cool to know. It's obviously like energy depletion of some sort. And I figured out something to help you watch videos while you're on your computer, on your bike trainer. So we'll get to that in a second. And we'll do a preliminary news flash on Ultraman. Yesterday was the last day. It's a 3-day race, and our buddy Rob Gray got second, and he won last year, so he's the former champion now. And the guy that won is a former professional triathlete. And Rob was never a professional. He might have been if he started earlier or whatever. He's just a really, really good age grouper. And that illustrates the theory. You think you're good until a pro shows up. You know? It's like, I give a terrible example. You think you're an orthodontist until an actual orthodontist shows up. You're like, oh yeah, we could probably straighten those teeth and get that all worked on and cleaned up right there. And then somebody that actually knows what they're doing, even way more than you, even if you're really good, brings a gun to a knife fight. So how do you beat a former pro? And I don't know. That's pretty amazing. So anyway, good job, Rob. I really liked in his videos that he posted on Instagram, the footage of his kids, because Kai was the exact same way when he was their age, running around, acting silly, really more interested in his Hot Wheels cars than anything else, and is just happy to be there and having a good time. So that's Robo Ultra on Instagram. You can look back through some of the stories. He'll probably do a race review on the Slow Twitch forums, which I'll read about later on, and give you a diagnosis of what he did from my perspective and experience, what he did right and what he said he needs to do differently. A couple of years ago, I think he got second. I think he wasn't winning. He got like second, and then he said his legs hurt really, really bad on the downhills on the run. And I also do trail running, lots of off-road ultra trail stuff, and so I listen to lots of podcasts about that. And Ian Sharman, who I've actually interviewed for this podcast, he's a record-holding off-road ultra trail running god. And a podcast I was listening to that he was a host on, he said that to fix that problem, you're running a lot at once and your quads are just killing you. The downhills start to hurt really bad from the banging. He said that's a lot of people know this. It's eccentric muscle loading, which is like sudden, which is actually different. So even though it's the same muscles as going uphill, they're loaded differently than downhill. And if you don't practice it, it can wreck you really, really bad because it's different, especially over a long distance. And to fix it, all you have to do is run downhill really fast a few times, like a few workouts before your race. And that will bang up your quads so bad, it'll hurt so bad, but they heal really quickly. And then you'll be a whole lot stronger and tougher. So then during the race, Boston Marathon is like this. The Hawaii Ironman has sections like this. The Ultraman definitely has this net downhill. And that's what makes them so hard, people say, is by the end of it, your quads are killing you because the downhills start to hurt. And that's usually where you get speed, right? But again, just do some fast downhill running. So I was talking to Rob, and I said, Rob, I heard you mention that your quads were really killing you on the run part, and it was kind of slowing you down. Go to a steep hill and run down it a bunch, so that you eccentric load those muscles. Just be careful not to break your legs or get a stress fracture. And load up on the downhills, run them fast, and your legs will be tougher next time around. And he went and did that, he said, and then he went and won Ultraman last year. Isn't that kind of cool? So we'll get some stuff like that from Rob about what he thought that he could have done better. He said that he had a rough patch at some point during the bike ride on day 2. I'd like to know what led to that. Was it going too hard? Was his fuel mix bad? Was it too hot? Not enough water? All kinds of reasons like that. All right. And then all that stuff, I love finding out all that stuff and then sharing it with y'all so that we can all get a whole bunch faster and just have a really nice race day without any drama. Wouldn't that be nice? Have your perfect day. See how fast you could actually go. Now, another thing. I was riding Zwift yesterday. I did 2 hours and I averaged 262 watts for 2 hours, which was really, really nice. I was doing this thing where I never stopped pedaling. Years ago, I used to ride a fixie for about a year or two, and you can't stop pedaling on a fixie. And I rode this thing as my training bike, like 50-mile rides, so 3.5 hours, something like that, on a road bike, where you can't stop pedaling. And it's really difficult at first, but then after a while, you kind of figure it out. So I was really enjoying the challenge on Zwift. I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this whole ride without pedaling, without coasting. And I did. And it was nice. It was really cool. I think my average heart rate was 135. There's a cop pulling somebody over, which was good. And then I went out and did a brick run for an hour. And I only averaged a 10-minute mile then. I was kind of having to watch my feet. But I really wasn't into riding my bike. I just wasn't motivated. And I was like, what can I do to get motivated? I'm like, let's watch some YouTube videos. And so I put on some YouTube videos. But I really want to ride Zwift for the variety and the ups. I just talked about in the last podcast, the up and downs and all this stuff. Gives you variability, which makes your ride better for you. And I was like, okay, let's load these videos. Let's, watch a video. And then I put it, the Zwift came on, and then I'm pedaling along, and I'm trying to get, I'm playing around with it. I've got a wireless mouse hooked up. So that, and the whole thing's sent to a big screen TV, HDMI out. And I shrank the YouTube video down to decently small, and then put it in the lower center of Zwift over my guy that's biking. I put it over him. So now I'm watching the Challenge, which is an Ironman competitor. I'm watching the Challenge Triathlon World Championships. I think it was a half Ironman. And I'm watching that as a video inside Zwift, like on top of Zwift, because, I found it like really cool. It actually was working really nicely. I was enjoying it. But the problem is, and it's easy. Like, you can totally tell there's a hill coming and there's, change up. And if you're not really like trying to draft people, if you're riding a triathlon bike, then it doesn't really matter who's exactly like right in front of you and all that stuff. But anyway, I'm trying to find a parking spot. On the video, because I was watching it in Chrome on a MacBook Air, and in the video, you still got the URL bar and any kind of like, I know you can get rid of the bookmarks bar, but the top of the YouTube window too would only go up so far. So it's like a ton of useless margin at the top of the video feed that I'm trying to watch in this small box on top of my Zwift. I know this is mega first world problems, but I'm like, man, there's got to be a freaking way to fix this, and there is. And I thought I'd share it with y'all. I was looking around everywhere and found a show. This is so cool. You right click on the YouTube video and a box comes up with like YouTube kind of stuff, like I don't know, copy URL, send to a friend, blah blah blah. Move your mouse off of that box and right click again a second time on the video. Up comes a different set of options, and as far as I know, this is on a Mac. I don't know if Windows has something similar, but for maybe it's Chrome, or I don't know what's going on, whose software actually does it, but it says it gives you different menu choices, and one of them is called picture in picture. So I click that. It sends the video to a full screen box with nothing else except the video, and it's resizable up to a point, like pretty decent size, and you can drag and move it all around your screen. And then on top of that, it stays on top. So if I click on another program or internet browser or something like that, the video stays on top. So I tested it with Zwift. You can open up Zwift, start running it, take a YouTube video, do this method, and then put the YouTube video on Zwift so that you're watching a video of what you want to watch while the bike riding is getting actually boring. And that is my tip for the week. And also, it's a great way, if you're having to do work that's boring and there's a YouTube video and watch at the same time, then you can do it anywhere. It doesn't have to be on top of Zwift. You can do it on your spreadsheet or whatever you're working on. You're entering stuff in the training peaks, and you're trying to think of what's your next workout, kind of planning things out. You can have a little video popped up of top 10 tips from GTN on how to make your triathlon bike more aero or something like that, and be watching that at the same time. All right, that's it. I got to go inside. Got to get some W to the ERK done. All right, out, bang. All right, we are back. Got a bunch of little things going on today to help you with. Let's see, it was just below freezing today in Fahrenheit in Texas. It was 30 degrees, which is nice and chilly if you're not that used to it. And can I make it? Yes, I can make it. And I have these really cool pair of running gloves. I looked for them for years. They're not exactly perfect what I want, but they're pretty good. They are made by Defeat, Defeet, like victory and defeat, but about your feet, which is a really good equipment company. Makes all kinds of good stuff. And They're highlighter yellow. I actually had to order them online. I looked around for them in running stores for years. I live in kind of a small town, so we only have one running store that's a legit, really good running store, and I've never seen them there. So I finally got around to ordering them online. Because if you wear highlighter yellow or, orange or whatever, the high visibility color on you, shirt's pretty good because that's viewable from all sides. But something that's really nice is if it moves more than just on your torso. So like, for example, on your bicycle, if you've got lights on your spokes of your wheel or on the rims of your wheels where they spin, they say that that's actually the best thing that vehicles see, is the spinning wheels. Really gets their attention because all that highlighter stuff, all that high visibility stuff is showing at a much higher color than normal. So cars are like, whoa, what's that? And then they see you, which is the whole point. So on your hands are actually bouncing up and down while you're running quite a bit. And your feet are also a good one as well. But your feet are kind of down low. Kind of down low, that like majorly down low. So your hands are a little bit higher, so that kind of helps a little bit, so vehicles can see you. So that's a nice little upside right there. And they are made out of some kind of dry wicking fabric, which I really like. If you want some quick, really good running gloves, go to, we have Academy here, which is a cheap, it's huge, but it's a cheap hunting lifestyle activewear kind of. They got treadmills and crossbows, it's just like freaking everything. And glove liners, which are made out of polypropylene, I think. They wick. All they are is just wicking, and they wick really fast, and they work your sweat. As soon as they get damp with your sweat, they work on your phone and all that stuff. But anyway, so I was running this morning in my yellow gloves, feeling pretty badass. I posted a picture of it on Instagram, how much I love these things. I just wish they were a little bit softer. They're not soft, which would be nice. I wish I had the glove liners material in highlighter yellow. That would be perfect. But anyway, another thing is, quite a while back, my AirPods were getting messed up from all the sweat and stuff, and I tried to clean them, and I like totally botched cleaning them and messed up one side so bad that it was pretty much useless. And let's say you have AirPods, Apple AirPods, the wireless ones, and you lose one or whatever. You can order just one. It costs $70, $75 after shipping. And what's great is it shows up in like a day or two at most by UPS, I think is how they sent it. It's a little bit of a hassle. They try to get you to send your other one in to work on it and all stuff, and you have to argue with them, and you go, no, it's toast. And then so the last time this happened, I learned that this time when I did it, and I needed a new left one because it was the sound wasn't balanced right and all this other stuff. It was just terrible. And the battery was lasting half as long as the right one. That I just tell them right from the start that you lost it. And so right from the beginning, I lost it in a sewer, and I'm not going back for it, so it's gone. And they're like, okay, well, we'll try to send you, because they want you to go to an Apple store and all this other stuff. They're trying to be helpful, but whatever. So I got my new AirPod in, everything's all balanced. I got battery life finally. My left AirPod was only lasting like 50 minutes, which was suboptimal, as Chrissy Wellington would say. And last week I ran a bunch, but and I'm trying to recover from injuries. Plantar fasciitis is officially gone. It seems to be 100% gone, and I just need to be careful. And I've still got this pain in my right heel, and I just need to be careful on that. But what's been really great is one thing I learned to help heal faster from all this was actually plantar fasciitis. That is a touchy one. You got to be really careful with surfaces and rolling in and stuff like that. But along with sleeping in a night boot, which only costs like $30 on Amazon, look it up, a plantar fasciitis night boot. That's the number one thing. It looked like the other thing I needed to do to heal was more cross training to strengthen up stuff. And what I found that worked really well was standing and pedaling on my bike. That beefed up and strengthened the surrounding muscles that now take some of the load off the muscles that were injured, now that they can handle it better. And I was thinking about it while I was running this morning. I'm like, man, what led to that and happening? And what happened was I was training for an Ultraman, and I was just doing tons and tons of running, and we had just moved about half a year before, to a new neighborhood, and it's all concrete, and it's all like this sloped, nasty stuff. So it's like there's no variability in it, And so as I was getting tired and doing tons and tons of training, I was hitting 20, 22, 24 something hours per week of training. And as I was getting tired and running on these same nasty, ugly surfaces of just monotony and hard, I guess it's a repetitive use where just not enough mix. And over the past year, moving back to this other neighborhood that I used to live in is hugely beneficial. It's taken a long time to get over the injury to the point where I can actually do this. But the roads like that I ran this morning that I'm super excited about being back on, it's very, very low traffic. Very low traffic. So I can run in the middle of the road, on the left side of the road, right side of the road, anything that I want. And it's asphalt, which is softer, and it's got a crown to it. So if I run down the middle of the road, it's generally flat, but there's just constant little undulations left and right, forward and back, tilting forward and back, which is nice. And then the other thing is, if my right leg starts to get a little worn out, if one side starts to get a little bit more worn out, I can switch to the other side of the road. And this is my training tip for the podcast, is make sure that you mix up sides of the road, surfaces, terrain, all this stuff to get overall variability and kind of beefed up. And you'll find that it helps prevent injuries. And what I found was running like this, it was so much easier to transfer over to a trail run without actually running on trails very much, because the variability and the change and everything just kind of evened things out. So anyway, today was a breakthrough run for me as far as injury recovery. I ran one of my very old routes that I used to run before I got injured. I ran that for my best Brett, a little bit slower pace, but for injured Brett, recovering from injury Brett, a really good pace. I ended up running like a 9:25 or 9:20. Yeah, if it was on flat ground, that gap grade adjusted pace, then it was a 9:25, let's say. And without pushing myself, which is awesome. So there was all that. And I was running left side, right side. Nothing was bothering my plantar fasciitis. Nothing was bothering my calf, which is the heel calf issue being tight overnight. Oh, and the other thing is, for months, years now, a couple years, I've had to warm up to get ready to run, to loosen everything up. And I didn't have to do that this morning. I just started running. I've noticed that. This thing where I've got to get on the bike and pedal for a little bit and then run a little bit, very slow motion, to kind of get the whole body warmed up so I can just run at all, because my body was just so damaged is now was gone this morning. Hopefully it's gone for quite a while. And so I'm super, super excited about that. So that's all breakthrough run stuff. And the more I run, the better mood I get in, anti-depression kind of stuff. And then also, I just wanted to mention real quick, people are curious about hours per week that you can train. And last week was 13 hours on the dot, which was only 2 hours of swimming. Usually I swim 3 hours, but we were on the road, which means that was 11 hours of bike and run. And I bet it was probably 6 and 5. It was probably 6 bike rides, 6 hours of bike riding, and 5 hours of running, which is pretty nice. I don't have those total. I think I ran 30 something miles, very low 30s, if over 30, if much more than 30. It was either 30 or 36. But anyway, about 30 miles, and then the rest of it was biking, and I don't have an accurate bike mileage because I was on my mountain bike a lot, which is significantly slower than riding a road bike, but it was a good time. All right, that's it. I got to go into W to the ERK. Out, bang. All right, we are leaving the pool. Sorry, I had something in my throat there. I was eating a Met RX bar. I told Emily to get me an RX bar. Here comes a diesel truck, Texas. I asked Emily to get me some RX bars, and when she was grocery shopping, she came back with Met RX, which is I really looked at the ingredients, but I'm assuming it's a chemical shitstorm. That's all caught in my throat, but it's my post-swim workout snack, refuel. Anyway, got a couple of little comments on the swim. Today, usually I swim with a beep timer so that I stay on a pace. And today I decided not to. Took the timer off. So, because last night I had a kind of a poor bike ride. I was swimming or biking and just felt weak. My numbers were kind of off. Hold on, I got to open the car. And there's a guy that's really famous, triathlete. He won age group for Kona when he was like 40, late 30s. Hold on. He won it a bunch of times. Need a sip of water. And his training method, this is after he already got good. You got to remember that. People are always like, how did you get so great? And then they tell you their training method. Well, they didn't tell you about all the years they spent getting great. Now they're just maintaining, which is different. But only work out when you're going to improve, because recovery is actually the most important thing. And if he started working out and his numbers were worse, he just quit. Come back another day. And then every workout you're getting better and better and better. It's actually a really cool method. Anyways, his name's Sami, S-A-M-I or S-A-M-M-I. Inkinen, I-N-K-I-N, Inkinen, yeah, Ian. And anyway, Google him. He's a trip. One of these super smart guys. So last night my bike ride was kind of crap. So I cut it short at 45 minutes in because I was starting to struggle to keep the pace. And I thought, that's a sign you just need to cash it in. And I did, and had a crappy night's sleep. And then in the morning, this morning, woke up and decided to just swim without using my beep timer to keep a pace. Because trying to keep a pace, if you start struggling, is frustrating and leads to overtraining. You're trying to keep the same numbers as before when your body's not capable of it, so then you overreach. And you do that time after time and dig yourself in a hole. I've done this, so I speak from experience. Hey, there's my buddy way up ahead of me, 2 cars up. He drives a Ford F350 crew cab dually 4-wheel drive as his daily driver. Oh my gosh. And anyway, diesel. Without the beep timer, I just swam and I counted strokes and tried to maintain a nice stroke count. I know for me, between 7 and 8 strokes on one side, on my right side, is casual gliding effort, and it's fast, and that means I'm swimming efficiently. If I'm crossing the pool, 7 strokes on one side, 7 on my right, 8 on my left, then that's an efficient technique. And then, because I'm not trying to keep a clock pace, I am able to swim. And if you do this, you are able to swim by effort, which is way different. After a while, after a lot of long distance training, you start catching on to the methods where you're training your body, not the clock. So listen to what your body's doing. You learn to feel what your body's doing, and then train that. And so you search your feelings, Luke. You know this to be true. A nice breathing pattern, just a little bit of muscle strain, because you're gonna go. I do this for an hour, because after an hour, that builds up. So learning to pace yourself, and then if you happen to have like a little bit left over at the end, like you went too slow, then maybe throw in a little sprint. But I timed this one really, really well and had a really good swim workout. And then there was this guy in the locker room that said, "Dude, how many laps do you swim when you swim?" And we sat down and did the math. And I knew that I'd swam 4,200 yards, because my watch showed when I was done that in just under an hour, I swam 4,200 yards. So it was a 125 pace per 100 yards. But we did the math, and if a lap is actually a length, like just swim across the pool, then I did 168 lengths. He's like, "God damn, man. How do you do that?" And I was like, "Well, I've learned over the years just to pace myself and swim. If I start swimming too hard, then back off and then count strokes so that I'm efficient. And over the years, I can swim like that, kind of easy." And he goes, "Well, you're not slow. I want to let you know that you're not swimming slow. That's fast." And I said, "Oh, thanks, man." So then we talked about other stuff, which was cool. And let's see, last night though, on the bike ride, I did have a moment of realization that is a cool training tip for biking. Now we're done talking about swimming. And it has to do with lactic acid. There's that saying that I came up with: lactic acid is fuel. They just found out. And when you run out of or you're running low on blood sugar or body fat or whatever it is, and you start to need extra fuel, your body creates a secondary fuel, or tertiary, and it's lactic acid. And it serves 2 purposes, I think. One is it's a fuel, an extra fuel that your body's kind of borrowing. And 2, it sends a signal. It kind of burns a little bit, or a lot sometimes. It sends a signal that you are redlining and to be careful, which is great. But psychologically, we have triggers where if it starts to hurt, we back off. And also, when you don't actually need to. And then also, you your body over time gets better at burning that lactic acid as fuel. So now it's not anywhere near as precarious, but you have to train with lactic acid for your body to get used to it, to actually burn it for you to improve using it. And I was doing this little trick last night on the bike, pedaling nonstop. You pedal uphill and your legs start to burn. So a lot of us coast down the other side because our legs are burning and it hurt going up, and now you can coast to go down the other side. And I thought, no, this is my sadistic self. This is Marine Corps military school coming in. No, keep pedaling. Pedal down the other side and it burns. And what's happening is by pedaling on the downhill, even though your legs are burning, you're training your body to use that lactic acid, but in kind of a error-free environment. You don't have to push all that hard at all on downhill. Just spinning your legs is something, uses your muscles, and it hurts and it burns, but it's really not going to penalize you, and it's not going to make you any faster. You're not really burning any calories per se. It's like the perfect time to practice using that lactic acid and getting used to it. And I found that after a while, the first time I did it, like psychologically, I was like, oh no, this is terrible. This is going to be so bad. This is dumb. And then after a while, after like the 5th hill or something, I was like, gosh, my fear of that my legs were going to shatter did not come true. I can actually do this. And so I had and so you can imagine in a race now, when you need to push yourself at the end, but you start, normal person would be like, oh, my legs hurt. I need to back off, right? But because you've done this in training, you would say, no, like, I'll be fine. Let's go. It's just lactic acid. It's a signal, but it's not the end of the world. They say your body sends all kinds of signals to try to tell you to stop before you actually need to, and you shouldn't listen to them all the time. And they said, for example, let's say you ran, and you ran and ran and ran, and say really fast, say like a 5K, and then you nearly collapse at the finish line. You can't run another step. You ran so hard. And so your body sent all these signals that you have to stop right now or else you will die, right? So you stop. And then you stand there and catch your breath for a minute. And then you start walking around, and you could even start running again. And they do this with intervals on the bike. This is a lot of the testing. They'll have people do hard intervals on the bike. And they say, okay, this is your last interval. Give it everything you got. And so the person will give it everything that they got. And then they go, oh, we're just kidding. Go easy for a minute, and we're going to do one more interval. And then that next interval, they're able to almost match or surpass the interval they just did before. But that doesn't make sense because their brain gave all these signals that there was nothing left. But there is something left. Your body was protecting you from actually using it. If there was nothing left, you wouldn't be able to do anything until somebody poured food and water into your mouth and you rested for a while. But that's not what you do. You kind of just walk it off a little bit, and then you can go again. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, that's it for this morning. There's a coworker driving. Let's see what we can get done at W to the ERK. Another training tip. We've got a coworker that's leaving, so we're going to do an after-work party, which is going to include alcohol. And instead of saying, oh, I guess I can't work out tonight, I brought my run stuff to work, and I'm going to run at work. Right? It's that extra little effort. So yesterday I made a packing list so I wouldn't forget anything. And then today I just checked off everything on the list, I think. We'll find out when I actually try to run if I got everything or not. And check the weather and everything. It's going to be a nice day, so I might actually get in a good run. All right, out, bang.
All right, I just finished a lunch run, the lunch run I was talking about, and had a really interesting observation. Mad calf is where your calf tightens up, and when you get older, it tends to be like a really bad problem that doesn't seem to go away. It takes years to get rid of. I think that's what I got left. Anyway, I forgot to sleep in my boot last night, so my foot hurt a little bit walking this morning. And then when I started running here at lunch, it was flat and then a gradual incline, and at first, and because I wasn't warmed up and stretched out enough, and because I didn't sleep in that boot to stretch everything out at night, my calf started tightening up, and it was painful. I'm trying to stand in the wind so I can cool down. There's a lot of wind today. The wind's out of the south, so here in Texas that means it's going to be warm pretty soon. And then I think what it was doing is it was tightening up. It was pulling the injured, sore, inflamed part of my tendon down under my heel bone, and under my heel started to hurt. And I was like, yep, starting to connect some more dots. And then I said, okay, well, stop running, take a break for a second, and stretch a little bit, and start running again after it calms down. And it did. It calmed down, then I started running again, and it went away. So it seems like it's like an overreaction. There's something very similar. If you run outside in the cold and you have asthma, the shock of the cold air, if you go from warm, humid air to cold, dry air really quickly, you could have an asthma attack, start coughing and hacking. And to do that, what people do is they wear like a bandana or something over their mouth. So for a while, they're still breathing humid, warm air because it's recirculating a little bit of that humid warmth instead of you just putting it out into the atmosphere long enough for you to warm up. So if you have that problem, that's the trick. And I'm like, I wonder if this mad calf is similar, like running too fast, too upslope, too quick causes the reaction, and then it tightens up. And stopping to stretch it and let it calm down for a second, because it's trying to warm up. Let it catch up, I guess, a little bit. And it worked. The rest of my run was like really great. No more, that's the thing, is after I did that one brief little stretch, no more calf pain, tightness, no more heel pain. It's really, really cool. Figure that out. All right. I was also wanted to record something to take a minute so I can cool down before I change back into my work clothes for the rest of the day. Out. Bang.
All right, I'm back. I've got a little bit of triathlon news, and also a little moment of Zen that I've been applying lately. So I guess we'll do the news first. I saw that there was a lot of conversation going on about switching worlds in Zwift. While Zwift has, 5 different quote-unquote worlds to train in, I managed to get behind a dump truck that's probably full of rocks. Trying to get around them. There we go. While Zwift has like 5 different worlds, there's no easy way to pick which world you want to ride in when you boot it up. So there's a hack. There's 2 hacks. One, you can go in by hand into a preferences file using like Notepad editor and change a setting by hand, and then it'll always open whatever world you want. And then also, and you can look both of these up, there's another one where you can get a program, and it does kind of that same thing, but it gives it a nicer interface where you can do a bunch of different settings and edit them and save it. And then when Zwift boots up, it reads that file and does those settings instead of the default. And I've been doing that forever. I like riding Watopia, the Big Island, more than anything. And I don't really want to ride anything else most of the time. And a lot of people complain that there's one route that's on the calendar. You just have to ride that day, you know, like what they put on there. Innsbruck, is that how you say it? But the course in Germany, which is beautiful, it's got apparently like 0 flat in it. And if you have a smart trainer and you get on that thing, well, then you're forced to ride hills when you don't want to. For example, that's one of the biggest complaints I read. But Zwift announced that this winter, like maybe around Christmas time, December, they're going to allow you to, they think it's going to be something like Watopia is your default, and if you want to switch to you won't have the choice of all the other worlds, but 1 or 2 or 3 of the other worlds or something like that, which will rotate out. It won't always be the same ones and stuff, and that you'll have those. And yeah, so there's that. So that's a big yay. That because I ride Watopia on days when it's not the official day and it's dead, which I kind of like sometimes. 100 riders in the whole place instead of 8,000 or whatever. Then the other piece of news I came across was DC Rainmaker's website. You can just Google it, but it's like dcrainmaker.com blog or something like that. He does tons and tons of reviews of sports equipment, electronic stuff, especially triathlon. And he posted a link to the report that Strava made of their analytics for the year, their big data deep dive, and some reports that they generated on some interesting statistics. One interesting statistic is cyclists are 5 times more likely to drink coffee after a ride than runners are. And then also runners actually prefer a beer after a workout. And I was thinking about it, and then it hit me. I was talking with somebody else. I said, "Why do you think that is?" And they said, "Oh, they had a decent reason." And then it hit me. I was like, I bet one major reason is riding a bike, if the weather's cool or cold, is very cold, and you want to warm up. The difference between these two drinks is beers are cold and coffees are hot. So maybe it's not quite so much about what's in the cup, but it's the temperature of the cup, of what's in the cup when you come to think about it. And a warm cup of coffee will heat you up. And you really don't think that much about like warm alcoholic drinks. They're usually cold, now that I think about it. And running, I ran this morning or the other morning, and it was cold. But by the end of the run, I was burning up, man. A cold beer tasted great. I liked it. So there's that. And they do like a ton of stuff on gender in the United States versus the rest of the world. I didn't notice, but maybe a whole bunch of age stuff. It's a really cool report, so you can go check that out on dcrainmaker.com. Okay, so your moment of Zen is that I've got a coworker that's leaving, and I'm in charge of replacing her, finding her replacement. And there's somebody else that is great for this job. And I'm trying to get them. And this has been going on for months because I knew that this one person A, was going to leave like a long time ago. And so I've been working on getting person B. And then I have other people that are interested in the job and all that stuff. And it has been so full of twists and turns and weird events and situations and everything from like the pay to the location to the qualifications to getting the job reclassified with more stuff, with less stuff. I mean, just like, it's been crazy. Getting other people's approval, up, down, sideways, it's nuts. And there's a Zen saying that nothing is as you think it is, right? Because Zen is about Zen is trying to get you to directly experience reality. It's the territory versus the map, right? A map is not the real world. The real world is the real world. I heard that one the other day too. That's a really good saying that a lot of people know. The map is not the territory, you know? And there's another one, like if you see a bird in a tree doing something and the manual in the bird book says that bird should be doing something else, believe the bird. Because the bird is the truth. So anyway, there's a saying that not everything that you think is true, and nothing will turn out exactly like you think it will. And I've learned that years ago, but I've really been watching that and watching it happen as this goes down, and it's really paying off. That there's another one where it's like guy finds a horse and they're like, oh, you're so lucky, and then his son falls off the horse and they're like, oh, you're so unlucky. And each time the farmer keeps going, maybe yes, maybe no, maybe you're right, maybe you're not, who knows. And then, you know, they go to war and the military comes by to recruit his son, and he's definitely going to die if he has to go fight. But they don't recruit him because he's got a broken leg, and everybody's like, well, you're so lucky. So there's all these ups and downs of you're lucky, you're not lucky, you're lucky. And you just don't know until it's all done. And even after when it's all done, there's still stuff that happens afterwards. So my situation is watching all this. It is wild watching how every time I think I know what's going to happen, it doesn't happen exactly that way. It happens sort of that way, but with a twist. And knowing that, years ago, I would be like, dang it, why isn't it happening the way I want it to, or the way I expected it to? And but knowing this now, before this all started going down, right? Because people would ask me, they go, so you're going to hire whatever, person B, to replace person A? And I'd be like, maybe. I'm trying. We'll see how it turns out, right? And I would never used to say something like that. I would say, yep, it looks like that's going to happen, you know? And then I would be all disappointed if it didn't happen. And but now I'm more like, well, we'll see. Like the farmer. I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying. But there's so many variables in the world, and I don't directly know what's going to happen, and I can't directly experience. I can't directly put the experience into concepts, and definitely say what's going to happen, because it may not happen that way, and what you think is going to happen. Even if it does happen, it happens like in a slightly different way than what you thought. And that's the way with everything. And so you kind of gotta you try, but you don't grip too firmly. There's a really good saying that I like, that if you grip the rope too tightly, you get rope burn, because that rope is going to move at some point beyond what you can do, beyond your control. It is going to slide. So it's like holding bicycle handlebars. You know, do you put a death grip on them? No, that'll wear you out. And then when they finally do get ripped out of your hand, they'll probably break your fingers. But you hold them loosely, kind of like a baseball bat, same thing, right? You hold it firm but loose, and just kind of see what happens. So that's what's been going on with me. I am going to sit down and have a sandwich, and that's it for now. All right, I think we're about close to wrapping up this show. We'll see what happens. Out, bang. All right, homies. Getting in the ZenTri mobile studios. About to drive W to the ERK. Nice little swim this morning. Second time. Sorry, choking. Am I choking on a MedRx bar again? God, these things are terrible. And there's my blinker. I'm a little discombobulated today. I told her, I pointed out how quickly your emotions can change. You know, if you get some good news, all of a sudden you're happy. You get some bad news, all of a sudden you're sad. So when you are sad, you know, experience it, feel it fully. But the trouble with being sad or depressed or whatever is you think it's never going to go away. And that's the end. That's why people kill themselves. They just think it's never going to end. There is no end of the tunnel. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. And that's not true. So you got to remind yourself that your emotions can flip on their head, and at any minute you can feel a whole lot better. So don't dwell on it too much. So on that note, I went swimming and had a kind of a half decent swim. To pump up my mood a little bit, I put it on Pandora and put it on some upbeat songs. And for example, that helped a lot. And also, like I said before, I've turned off the beeper, my timer, so I'm not drilling myself to try to keep up. So I've removed that stress, and now I'm swimming more it's like riding a bike with no bike computer. It's a Zen bike ride. All I had was, I want to talk about that for a second. I started coaching another guy, and I asked him, you know, right off the bat, what kind of equipment do you got, so I know what we can use. And he said he's got all this stuff, but actually he doesn't like, he's kind of a minimalist, and he doesn't like having too many numbers and stuff. And I said, I couldn't agree more that in my experience, what really seems to work is, hold on, I got to change lanes, and I've got a car situation going on here. What really seems to work is, oh my gosh, there's a refrigerator on the, well, that just fell off somebody's car. I thought I was going to run off the road there for a second. What really seems to work for me and for a lot of people is to have devices and whatever on you running to record all the metrics, but then turn off the screens, turn off all the data to keep you from trying to train yourself into the ground following the data, following those numbers, or because you're always comparing against your best ever day. You know, well, I'm riding at 220 watts, I'm riding at 250 watts. Well, that sucks, because one time I rode at 260. Well, you're probably like souped up on caffeine, and you know, when you recorded your best numbers and hadn't trained for 3 days, so you're like well rested. So to go do that number again, to force yourself to try that number again, you're just going to wear yourself out worse and worse. And sorry, a good training tip is when somebody says, you know, that they don't like having all these numbers, and so they don't have any of the equipment at all to record the numbers, don't believe that. That is actually not wise. What is wise is, over time, because it costs money and stuff, so don't like kill yourself over it, but over time, acquire, that's the word I was looking for, acquire the devices and all that to record things like your heart rate and your watts, miles per hour, all that, minutes per mile, cadence, you know, your laps swimming. And yeah, you know, like play around with the numbers for a while, but record all that stuff while you're working out. Always. But then when you're actually training, make sure you don't have, it's like running. It's really dangerous to have on the screen of your, the main screen of your watch, your minutes per mile pace, your average, right? And even your current, maybe. I have neither of those. I have my time and my miles. And then every mile, when it does a lap, it puts up on the screen my pace, average and current mile. last mile, average overall my last mile. I only get to see it for a second, and then it's gone, and then I kind of don't remember. So it's like I'm checking. And then there's a saying in Zen, is your response to stuff, the more Zen you get, your response to issues that pop up is, oh, that's interesting, and it works. It's like, instead of developing a strong opinion about it. So you're used to riding 200 watts and you notice that your average lately is 180. So instead of going, oh my gosh, I gotta go faster or whatever, you say, that's interesting. And because you're already in the moment, you really can't do much about it right now. And if you're trying, and what you do is you compare your feelings, like, am I trying hard? Yeah, and all this other stuff. So so something's off, and then you kind of wonder, I wonder what's off right now. Oh yeah, I didn't sleep so well. Okay, so this all starts to make sense. And another one, I remember Rich Roll talking about it a lot. You go and do your workout, and then sit down when you're done with your workout and look at all the numbers. That's fun. That's the time to do it. Is you go, oh, when I was going up this hill, because you can see that in all the metrics and Training Peaks. When I was going up this hill, my cadence was this and my heart rate was this. And about 2 hours in, look at me, I blew up. I thought maybe I was blowing up, and yep, I blew up right 2 hours in. It's that whole thing of holding something loosely, If you try to train the numbers exactly during your workout all the time, then you're gripping the rope too tightly. If you never look at your numbers, then you're riding your bike with no handlebars. I ride my bike with no handlebars, and you're going to crash, or you're not going to improve much, if at all. And so the middle path, which is Buddhist, is check on your numbers on occasion, and then as you see them, go, that's interesting. Because honestly, just knowing your numbers is huge. That's almost enough to know. That's almost enough on its own to change you and improve you. Not to burn your eyeballs staring at your bike computer. There was something, my mom was a college counselor and all this stuff. And when I was having bad grades, she kept telling me, and then finally I did it. There's, I think there's probably 5 ways, but 2 ways to get A's is, 1, sit in the front row. Don't miss class and sit in the front row. And the reasoning behind this was, students that sit in the front row almost always have A's. So sit in the front row and you'll get an A. And it's because you actually have more interaction with the teacher, and you're not slacking off at the back of the room, and all you do is the very beginning of the school year, you sit in the front row. That's where you pick your seat. And she said actually the front 2 rows, and then down the middle a little bit. And that's also where the teacher teaches to the most. They teach to the front row and kind of down the middle. People in the back and in the corners, the teachers tend to ignore and don't engage with as well. And then the other one was know your grades on stuff. So if somebody asks you, what did you get on this? People that have bad grades, if you ask them, what did you get on the midterm? They'll go, I don't know. And if you go, what did you get on what did you get on your spelling test like 2 spelling tests ago? I go, I don't remember, right? That's a sign you don't care enough. So you need to know your grades. And to me, that's a lot like with Training Peaks and your whatever training system you use. But when you train, to have your total hours, right? You need to know your total hours per week, and maybe your miles, kind of, one or the other. But if you keep on top of that more than anything, and maybe how many workouts you did hard versus how many easy, like I did 1 hard swim, or I did, really it's minutes going hard. How many minutes, I did 20 minutes of hard on this day, and I did 2 on that day. And if you're just kind of familiar with it, that's actually enough, because those are the important things. And then if you pay attention to those things, you'll notice the pattern if you actually start to fade. All right. Well, that's it. I got to go into W to the ERK. I'll talk to you in a bit. Out. Bang. All right. It is a Monday morning, leaving the pool, getting in the ZenTri mobile studios, but we're not going to talk about swimming this morning, except use your tendons, not your muscles. Anyway, I'll talk about that on a future podcast. I got a bunch of little things. We've got totals for the week, and we'll do that in just a second. We've got a couple of messages and emails. Got 3 of them actually from people that were pretty cool. One is from somebody messaged me on Instagram, and it takes me forever to realize I've got a message in Instagram. So sorry for being slow on that. And it's a guy who's a truck driver, and he really is inspired by Zen and the Art of Triathlon and other podcasts, I'm sure, too, on how to do this awesome stuff. And one he wants to record while he was driving his truck and was asking about a lavalier mic, which I suggest. And then the other is, he says he wants to do an Ultraman someday, and he's setting his goal to do that. And I thought I would give real quick the few things that I thought were critical for doing an Ultraman besides the obvious, besides getting in really, really good shape. One is you need to start eating and drinking immediately after each day. So it's 3 days long. So after day 1, don't sit around. Start eating and drinking a ton of food every day, because Ultraman is all about how well can you recover. It's basically a stage race. So the better you recover, the longer you're going to last on day 2 and then day 3. So every day, as soon as you finish, weigh yourself. That's another one. Weigh yourself and know your weight every day for months leading up to it. Know when you're dehydrated, when you're not. Learn all that. And then weigh yourself when you're finished and try to get your weight back up for the next day, and load up on carbs. Load up on carbs when you finish, so that the next morning when you wake up, you are refueled and hydrated and all that good stuff and ready to rock and roll. That actually makes more difference than anything else. Another one is, I would say for the run, unless you're a really small person and really light and really thin, then try to schedule your first Ultraman so that the run is in cool weather. Don't do it on a hot day. A double marathon on the 3rd day is very, very, very painful. And the heat just makes it unbearable. So if you can schedule on a cooler day, you'll do better, a lot better. And also your first Ultraman, try to make it as easy of a course as possible and then work up from there. And there's so much more. You want to have a motivational factor. Mine is I wanted to be like a couple of my other friends that had already done them, and I was going to do this thing no matter what. So that comes into play. Another one is you have 12 hours a day to do every part, so try to stretch it out. If you're worried about making the cutoffs on the run, for example, try to stretch it out day 1, day 2, so you don't wear yourself out too much. But there's a strategy. You don't want to stretch it out too much, because then that cuts into your recovery time. I did mine day 1 and day 2 and went out and helped mark the course, I think, for other people to do parts of it or something like that. I don't remember what I did, but it was dumb. But in hindsight, it worked out, so it's okay. Another one is, I would highly recommend doing some ultra marathons before you're doing an Ultraman. So before I had done an Ultraman, I had already done, I don't know how many 50-mile trail runs, which are hard. So the Ultraman run is 52 point whatever miles, but it's on pavement, which is a lot easier than trail running. And I had already accomplished a whole bunch of trail runs, and I even done a 100-miler and then like a 56 or 60-mile trail run. Went too hard on one of them and DNF'd. So I knew what running on just smashed legs felt like, and that you could keep going. And then another one would be, it's fear of the unknown that makes you quit. You know, you're like, I don't know if I could take any more of this. And if you already know that you can take more of it, then you're not worried, and you seem fearless. But really, you're just like comparing to what you already know. One of the reasons I really enjoy doing all this really, really hard stuff is I went to a Marine Corps military school as a kid, and they pushed us to the absolute limit of beyond, because they won't let you quit. They push you beyond your edge and break you over and over and over again, and then make you do more. And then they also make you responsible for yourself, self-sustaining. Everything you earn is a privilege. Everything you have, you earned, and everything you earned is a privilege. It could be taken away at any minute. So when you're like, oh, my legs hurt, I don't know if I can go any farther, you're like, compare it to that one time, and you're like, no, I can keep going. And so that's really handy, and that's why if you do some ultra running, and then you can compare, you're like, oh yeah, I know I can keep going, you know. And you don't have to do races. I guess you could do over distance and in training or something like that. And then another one is backup bikes and backup gear. And then another one is run walk the marathon. That is crucial. Learn to walk the uphills, run the flats, be careful on the downhills if they start to hurt, and mix in walking breaks, usually on the uphills as you go, and you will be able to go a lot farther, a lot faster if you start doing that right from the beginning. Like, start off walking on day 3, start off walking the first 2-3 minutes before you even start running. Oh my gosh, yeah. Anyway, okay, so there's all that. Let's see, totals for the week. Oh yeah, I did 13 hours and 15 minutes last week, which is pretty good. I'm in like perpetual, somewhere between half Ironman and Ironman training, like in this no man's land. Because Ironman just takes all the time in the world. Half Ironman you can actually train for and live your life not too badly, and so I'm somewhere in between. And I looked at my totals. Let me try to remember. I swam 12,225 yards in 3 swims, so just over 4,000 yards per swim. I biked like 4 times, I think it was 116 miles. Oh, Saturday afternoon, I biked with Kai on road bikes just around the neighborhood, did about an hour and a half. That was pretty cool. Well, around the countryside too. And then running, I ran 4 times, maybe 5 times, but for a total of, I've increased my total just a little bit. My foot started feeling a lot better, so I increased my total and by a few miles, so 32.8 miles. I would say average pace around 9.5 minute mile, but 32 miles for the week, on top of everything else, is pretty nice. Probably average watts for bike riding is 245, probably 250 something. So those are pretty good. And yeah, I could tell by the end of the week. Also, increased the distance on my run just a little bit Saturday and Sunday, and actually was going faster. My time on my running started increasing without any extra effort, and I was like, whoa, that's interesting. So what am I, start making notes. What are you doing right? And I was like, that is great. And so 7 miles instead of 6.2, 6.4 Saturday and Sunday. But I could tell, though, that those additional miles, that additional time on my feet, started making my feet hurt a little bit because it was relatively new, doing that all at once. And I could tell I'm done for the week. And then I need a day off, and that's what I've got. So today, no running, no biking, just a little bit of swimming. Swam this morning, just kind of easy glide, and we'll talk about that a little bit later because we have a couple emails and a news announcement of an upcoming event that I want to get to so we can wrap up the show. All right, out, bang. I almost forgot to mention our friend, the truck driver that wants to do an Ultraman. He mentioned in his message to me that one thing he really likes about the podcast is how I talk to people like they're a friend. And if you're on the other end of this podcast, if you're a listener, it sounds like you're on a phone call. Is what I get a lot of times from people with a buddy just talking about triathlon. And I get that a lot from people sending in notes about what they like about the podcast. And I think that that's really neat. I'm glad. I wasn't planning on that, and that's the way it is. And that's pretty cool. So if you experience that too, big thumbs up. I like doing that. All right, we have a bit of upcoming event news with Tim Floyd from Magnolia Masters, which is a swim club, I guess. It's a coaching program. Sorry, got interrupted there. Magnolia Masters is out of the Woodlands, which is far northwest Houston. And Houston is a powerhouse location for swimming. They generate people that go to Stanford, UT, all that good stuff. And the Magnolia Masters program is the top program that I've heard of in my mind for generating top swimmers in triathlon and taking people that aren't very good swimmers and turning them into triathlon swimmers, and then also taking people that are swim team swimmers and fixing them into endurance triathlon swimmers. Tim Floyd is in charge of it, and he works with a lot of pros. You see it all the time. Jocelyn McCauley is going to be down there, and there is so much. I definitely agree. There is an entire school and industry that can be built around converting either non-swimmers or regular swim team swimmers into triathlon swimmers. It's that different of how to swim open water, 1 mile, 1.2, 2.4 miles, and how to actually combine that all with triathlon training and what's actually important and what's not. I had to fix myself over a few years, and it's just top-notch program. Anyway, I got a message from him that they are putting on a swim camp in January, and they're going to do a lot of focus on being in the zone and flow and neuromuscular stuff. And he invited me to drop in and come say hi. So I'm putting that on my calendar for sure. I'm very excited about going and doing that. So I don't know if it's open to more people, but at least be looking for content on the podcast mid-early January 2019 as far as swimming tips and advice from Tim, and also there'll probably be a bunch of badass pros there too, getting fixed over the winter. So we have that, and then we have a couple of emails. Let's see, I did a beer review, an IPA, India Pale Ale review, last show, and Lars Miner sent me a note that he got accepted on Zoot's age grouper team. He's super excited about that. And then on the beer, the Deschutes IPA review I did, talking about dextrose, maltodextrin for fuel and long-distance workouts, you'll get a kick out of this. Now I'm reading his email. This homebrewed pineapple IPA is made with a domesticated Belgian wild yeast called Brettanomyces. I think. Anyways, Brett for short. This is what it goes by. This particular yeast devours ferments maltodextrin like crazy. Sounds like me. And is used to feed it. Anyways, see below. It's a hazy, juicy IPA loaded up with actual pineapple. Anyway, literally a Brett maltodextrin IPA, and awesome after a long run, like drinking beer juice. So I got to try this. Who makes it? He's got pictures of it. No, I don't have it. Who did I say it was? Oh, homebrewed. He made it himself. Pineapple IPA. Okay. Well, I mentioned this to somebody else that was into IPAs and maltodextrin, your email, Lars, and they said, yeah, they'd heard of that there was a Brett maltodextrin. So you're not crazy. This is a thing, and I'm just the one that's been left out of the loop. Who knew? And then also he's got, so I'm going to go searching for this anyway. He's also got a new bike, and his pain cave is gorgeous. It is so awesome. Let's look at it for a second. Got a big screen TV, 2 fans, one next to the window to bring cold air in, I'm sure. And then a Dorito trainer, Elite Dorito, and his bike all set up. And yeah, dude, it looks pro, man. I like it. Very clean, very efficient. Let's see how long it stays that way before you have gear all over the place like I do. I end up messing with gear and then having to put it aside so I can actually get my workout in because I'm always crunched for time. And let's see, we have another email. And it's to me and Triathlon Taren. And Triathlon Taren and I are buddies. I was one of his first guests on his podcast, and I mention him a lot on shows because he does all these videos, and we had a tie-in together for a while where I was promoting him, and I really enjoyed it. Taren is a good guy and a good person to know. And let's see, it's from Ben H. And Ben is writing in from, I guess, Sydney, but definitely Australia. And he spends a couple sentences in a paragraph talking about his history and then also all about how Taren has helped him out. Well, I won't read that here because you can listen to Taren's show for that. But because we got to get to the part where he talks about me. But anyway, he says, Brett, your approach to life is so inspirational. I've always been interested in Zen meditation, and your blend of all this with long-distance training and racing is amazing. I am looking forward to bringing up my kids being an active dad role model like yourself. Hearing the way you experiment with nutrition and fueling has been insightful to me. I started testing out different strategies and found pre-mixing my gels and electrolytes in a fuel bottle, a single bottle, and then having a separate water bottle and using salt stick allowed me to almost double the calories and water I can take on without discomfort during the bike leg ready for the run. Yep. Good job, man. Learning the refined training approaches and fueling strategies from both of you undoubtedly gave me great improvement in my last race. Training smart, fitting in quality, not just quantity. I am forever trying to find that family triathlon work balance that now makes every day worthwhile and special. I am happier, motivated, healthier, and more present husband, a better role model for my kids, and I thank you both for that. P.S. Here's a comparison photo, and then photos from the last race. Okay. Dude, you look awesome, man. You look, beforehand, I've been in the same shoes, dude. Overweight, so I'm not being negative. I'm saying overweight, and then, he's sitting on he's at a tourist attraction, kind of sitting there with his little kid. And then next photo, side by side, is him racing Ironman 70.3, I guess Sydney. And dude, you look badass. And the bike photo that you sent me, it's from the side. Let's look at your aerodynamics. I think your aerodynamics are spot on, actually. Like really spot on. Like really, really spot on. That's the first things I look for is, are your knees close enough to your elbows? Yes. Are you low enough in the front without being too crunched? I'd say yes. Maybe you could tilt your hips a little bit more, rotate your hips forward a little bit more, and then open up your chest. Maybe, if you want to. That's kind of up to you. And then, that's hard to tell, from here. And then The next thing I look for is the seat too high, and then you're extending your feet too far downwards. And I think your saddle, if it is too high, it's just barely, or it looks about right to me. So your air position is spot on, dude. So very, very cool, very aerodynamic. Look, I had to look twice to realize that is a road bike. That's not a triathlon bike. It is so aero, with the aero wheels, tri-bars, add-on, clip-on, and the water bottle behind you. Sorry, I got interrupted again. You have very nice aero bottle set up behind your saddle, and then also on your frame, you've got one bottle on the down tube, and it's an aero bottle. So you might even have something between the handlebars. It's hard for me to tell from here. Between the arms, I mean. So looking sharp, dude. Very, very sharp. And honestly, I mean, that's probably 90% of why I do triathlons, long-distance triathlons myself, is to be in shape, to be fit, and so that I can be a good dad. Both be a good dad and then also age gracefully instead of just falling apart. It seems like the more I do with triathlon, there's a sweet spot. You do too much and injure yourself, so you're a mess, which I did a few years ago, and trying to recover from that. I did a little bit too much, but there is definitely a sweet spot where you can do swim, bike, run, and throw in some weightlifting and whatever, and trail running and all that good stuff, and then be crazy fit. And your mood, your attitude, your positivity, your fitness, everything just seems to be ticking like a fine clock. Like, just everything's just upbeat and great. And that's the world that I want to share with everybody, especially being outdoors. Like, really helps a lot. You work a desk job, behind a computer all day. I run a bunch outside specifically. I've noticed to get in the trees and the green. And it's a definite mood boost, and it makes the world just way more positive. And then you start getting more done, and then better things start happening, and then you get more done and better things start happening. It kind of gets out of control. Then people message you. They want you to come to their swim clinic. And it's just great, man. So congratulations. And yeah, your photos look just totally nice. Thanks for sending it, Ben. That was really cool. All right, if you feel like you want to help support ZenTri, then you can go to zentriathlon.com, and there is some links on the website. One is you can support real simply through PayPal. You can do a one-time donation or a recurring donation. If you do, you actually end up with my email, and if you send me any questions or things like what I just read from Ben here, or Lars, then I'll read them on I'll try to read them on the show. I usually do, and have a back and forth with you. And there's that. Let's see, what else? Oh, we got a few sponsors. We got Salt Stick, and we've got Amrita bars. So go check them out. And Amrita bars is actually, I owe them an email, and I just remember they're helping sponsor Kai. Kai's killing it. He was injured a little bit, but now he's back on it. And also, if you're looking for some coaching, send me an email. I'm texafornia@gmail.com. TEXAFORNIA, Texafornia. I just picked up one new coaching client last week, and I'm really excited about it. A guy out of the upper Midwest, and he's got all the gear so we can start training. And I already put him in the training peaks and started getting him some workouts. We're going to watch how he progresses over the next year or so. And it's really that easy. I get you signed up. It's $200 a month, but even though that costs a lot, it's actually, you're getting somebody with just a ton of experience. It's pretty much seen it all. And also, the 1 year that I got coached changed my life. I would pay for it again and again and again for that 1 year without question, because it just changed everything on how to train, how to balance your workouts so they don't conflict with each other, and just have a second set of eyes. So again, it's Texafornia, TEXAFORNIA. $200 a month. I think it's like $199, but $200 a month for totally customized coaching where we put in your goals, and then I look at your current hours and your current mileage and gradually increase you to get you where you want to be. And then when you run into all those problems, like what do I do about this conflict? What do I do about this pain here? Or I'm tired there, or what food or what fuel or what bike part? You know, should I buy an aero helmet or aero wheels first with the cash that I got? I can just tell you all the answers to that. I've been through all of it myself many times over, actually. So that's it. All right, I want everybody to stay safe out there. Stay tuned for the next episode. I think we'll talk about, if I remember, muscles versus tendons. A really cool insight that I heard from a physiologist that I already knew, but he phrased it in a way and backed it up with some science that I want to share with everybody. So we'll put that in the next podcast and kind of see where we go from there. So stay safe, work the uphills, cruise the downhills, and keep the rubber side down, out.